Hello, everybody. At this time, we are talking about life cycle costs. When considering a major purchase, it's essential to look beyond the upfront price. Life cycle cost encompasses the total cost of owning and using an item throughout its entire lifespan. This includes not just the initial purchase, but also operating, maintenance, and disposal costs. For example, a car with a low purchase price might end up costing more in repairs and fuel over time. Conversely, a more expensive vehicle could save you money with better fuel efficiency and lower insurance premiums. By evaluating the life cycle cost of a building or any other significant investment, you gain a clearer picture of its true value. To calculate life cycle costs, estimate all ownership expenses for each option and compare them. Key factors include the initial purchase price, depreciation, fuel or energy costs, insurance premiums, maintenance and repairs, and resale value. By considering these elements, you make more informed decisions that align with your financial goals. And then we move to the importance of life cycle costs. Life cycle cost concept is relevant in several fields. The estimate of the life cycle cost plays a pertinent role in deciding whether or not to acquire an asset. Management analyzes the cost of owning and operating the asset that costs the least. The expenses that management considers include purchase price, installation, operating, financing, depreciations, maintenance, and disposal. When talking of production, the life cycle costing helps to come up with the product that will cost a minimum to the end user. Further, products with a minimum after sales costs are preferred. These costs include the cost of warranty, replacement, and field service work. We can also use life cycle costs for evaluating an investment. The total cost would include the cost of obtaining, maintaining, or renewing and disposal. The analysis of the life cycle costs is also essential if a project has several alternatives. These alternatives differ from each other in terms of costs that are necessary to complete the project. In such a case, management selects an alternative that can generate maximum savings. The preferred alternative is that it minimizes the initial costs as well as the operating costs. And then we move to what are the benefits of life cycle costing. There are a broad range of reasons why life cycle costing can be a major boon for businesses. For a start, it gives you an excellent analytical framework for choosing between two or more assets when you're making purchasing decisions. Instead of focusing on the initial cost, you can consider the overall cost of different assets and thereby make smarter investments. Furthermore, life cycle costing can help make your business budgets and financial projections more accurate, as it's impossible to budget properly if you don't have an adequate sense of your expenses. For example, if you underestimate costs, you're going to end up overestimating profit, which could have serious repercussions further along down the line. And then we move to the types of life cycle costing. The first, the conventional life cycle costing is to a large extent the historic and current practice in many governments and firms and is based on purely economic evaluation, considering various costs associated with a product that is bought directly by a given actor. It is usually determined by the perspective of a single actor, often the product user. In this type of analysis, the external costs are often neglected. Life cycle costing is mainly applied as a decision-making tool to support the acquisition of capital equipment and long-lasting products with high investment. And then second, environmental life cycle costing summarizes all costs associated with the life cycle of products that are directly covered by one or more or the actors involved in the product's life cycle. For example, producers and consumers, including externalities that are anticipated to be internalized in the decision-relevant future. These costs must relate to real money flows. The environmental life cycle costing is not a standalone, but is seen as a complementary analysis to the environmental life cycle assessment. And then third, societal life cycle costing. It includes monetarization of other externalities, including both environmental impacts and social impacts, such as affected social well-being, job quality, etc. This focus makes it a suitable tool for decision-making at the societal level, including governments and policy makers. The environmental life cycle costing, as compared to the conventional life cycle costing, can be seen as a tool for both external communication and certification as well as labeling, while conventional life cycle costing is more likely to be used as an internal tool. In environmental life cycle costing, it is obligatory to include all life cycle stages, while the conventional life cycle costing often does not take into consideration the end of life costs. And then we move to life cycle cost principles. There are some primary principles to consider when assessing life cycle costs. The first, recognize that a facility development project begins as the concept and pre-planning stage and is complete when the asset is sold or the site returned to its original condition. And then second, life cycle cost considers all of the economic and financial costs associated with constructing, procuring, and operating a facility at a level for which it was originally planned. And then third, examine the full cost of each project's component across the life of a project rather than choose the cheapest option. This may mean a higher initial outlay but lead to reduced ongoing operational, maintenance, and disposal costs and a net lower total ownership costs. And then fourth, developing a life cycle cost analysis especially is an intrinsic part of your overall asset management strategy. I think it is enough. Thanks for watching.